Live and Rock is brought to you in part by ShifterMagazine.com, your source for entertainment news, reviews, and interviews. Plus, amazing resources and how-tos for the independent artist in you. Check them out at ShifterMagazine.com. It's another episode of Live and Rock. That's right, the show for creative soul.
Most artists cannot be comfortable stuck in one box. That's right.
And that's what this podcast is about. It's not just filmmaking, but creative pursuits in general.
The creative life, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's painting, illustrating,
photography,
dancing, whatever it is.
Make some noise, rock the world before your time runs out. Let them know what you're about and just make some noise, rock the world. No matter what your game, make sure the whole world remembers your name. Make some noise, rock the world before my time runs out. You know what I'm about, I'ma make some noise.
Yes.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is episode 21 of Live and Rock.
Rockin' live.
Yo, Mr. Shel Rock, you don't sound like you're rocking live, my bro.
Well, truth be told, it sounds like I'm overpowering you, so I'm just trying to make sure that this audio setup is done correctly.
While we do that, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We invite you to get warm and cozy for another episode. In this episode, the creative show for creative souls, we are bringing you insight to that creative life that you love so much and that we are a part of.
Yep.
For those of you who are here for the first time or wondering, this voice you're hearing, this is me. This is the one and only CDH Live.
Yeah.
And the other deep bass voice is the co-host.
I am the one and only Shel Rock.
A.K.A.
H.S. Lee,
a.k.a.
as I am known in the writing industry.
Yes, Shel Rock, H.S. Lee, Dark Kent.
Yes.
And all the AKAs that follow his name.
Shell, whatever you want to go with.
There you go. But welcome. We got a good ride ahead of us. So
yes.
We're looking forward to this episode. We're actually going to be tackling the concept of discipline and motivation on your daily drive as a creator.
Yes. Now I'm excited. Now you got the nail on the head, bro.
Yeah.
We need to get into some, I need some bro to bro, creative to creative, man to man, tough love talk about staying disciplined, because I was struggling over the last couple of weeks with staying on task.
Definitely. That's why we are here, to bring that that discipline and that motivation to each other, and to share that with all our creators across the globe listening in Live and Rock Nation.
And speaking of creators, just before we continue on and getting deep in the show, just for some context for our new listeners, what exactly is your creative forte? CDH Live, who are you? What do you do in the world of creativity?
Well, I'll put it this way. My name is poetry.
Okay.
So everything that I do, my life is poetic and every day is a line.
Nice.
I express that in many different ways, but it's always poetic, whether it's music, film, video, graphics. It's always a poetic expression of who I am. Okay.
Sounds pretty interesting. Sounds pretty, like you got a few different things going on there. So
it's true.
We're going to get into that when we get later on into our feature conversation. And before we get into that, though, we're going to get into the things that are inspiring us as artists along our journey. Before we get into the nitty gritty of, the brass tacks of what's up with Live and Rock later on in our feature conversation and dealing with that discipline, take some time out to just find out what's been inspiring you guys.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I want to hear what's inspiring you.
All right.
Because it's been an interesting week for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's take a quick TV timeout and come back with what's inspiring CDH Live and Shel Rock on episode what number?
Episode 21, getting ready to get energized. Let's take that TV timeout and we'll see you guys on the other side.
Nice.
Cheers is filmed before a live studio audience.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Oh, come on. What kind of a greeting is that? When Norm comes in, you all yell, Norm! or make a big fuss over him. Is it asking too much for me to get the same treatment once in a while?
She's right. Try it again, sweetheart.
Yeah, thanks. Hello, everyone. That's better.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Lighter.
Yes. Welcome back
Gunshot.
to Live and Rock. Man, we as creators, we're always looking for that place where everybody knows our name.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and even for those of you guys who were not Cheers fans, such as myself,
What?
there's a certain
Whoa.
warm and fuzzy feeling you get when you hear those throwbacks, even if you weren't into it at the time.
Yes.
And it's a funny thing because as creators, sometimes we forget that people have the same warm and fuzzy feeling when they think back to some of our creative expression along the way.
You think so?
Even if they didn't appreciate it at the time, when they think back, they
Really?
think, "Oh man, that was sweet. I wish we could go back to those."
Really?
days."
That's a very interesting observation or commentary there, Mr. CDH Live.
Yeah.
Almost as interesting as the fact that you say you weren't a Cheers fan. Really?
I was not a big Cheers fan.
Really?
I watched Cheers
Woody didn't
when there
do it
was
for you?
when there was not much other choices.
What?
I really did like the character of Woody. That was probably my
Okay.
favorite thing on Cheers.
Okay.
I didn't care so much for the character of Diane or that whole thing. So I liked
Wow.
I liked it much better when they
switched up to Homegirl.
yeah.
What's her name again? Can't remember her name.
Kirstie Alley.
Yes,
And on the
Kirstie
show it was Rebecca or something.
Rebecca,
like that?
yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
How do I remember that? I have no idea.
Yeah, and you supposedly never liked the show.
Well, I wasn't a big fan.
Then
But I didn't
what-
have a lot of
okay,
channels.
which show from the which show from that era then would you say you were a big fan? Because
Well-
you're the huh?
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead. Answer the question.
What were you gonna say, dude?
No, because I don't think I don't recall you ever really say. I think there was another show that I featured in a TV timeout recently that I was shocked that you're like, nah, that wasn't a big deal. Like I wasn't really into that. I can't remember what it was, but sometime in the last few months of the Live and Rock show.
There's,
So now
there's a
I'm
lot of
curious.
shows growing up that I watched only because I didn't have a lot of other channels to choose from. So if there wasn't like a great example of that would be Wings.
Yeah,
I would have never watched that show if I had
There's
something
no-
else to
to
watch
watch.
while it was on.
I'd have to agree you with that one. Agree
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of those. But all that being said,
Mm-hmm.
if I hear the theme song for it, it just brings that warm, fuzzy, nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, really. It's just the actual, it's the memory association of bringing you back to another time in your life.
Right. We talked
your
about
childhood.
Fuller House in the same
Right,
context last time.
exactly. Yes. And they say music really does that for people because it's like you always ask people like, you know, the soundtrack of your age,
Right.
soundtrack of your high school days or the soundtrack
Yeah.
of your life because we
Which-
associate music is a very moving thing, and it's like
It's just it's so rich and it contains so much within, you know, the whole rhythm of it, and the sound can reflect to a very specific era.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm glad you mentioned soundtrack because I'm gonna talk a little bit about that in our feature conversation.
I don't know what soundtrack you're planning to talk about, but I was expecting or want to ask you about musicals right now. because
Oh, man.
we're in the what's inspiring you section, and I'm personally inspired right now. What has been inspiring me is the fact that your lovely wife is in a well, I don't know if it's a Broadway, but it's a musical.
Toronto's Broadway.
Yes, Toronto's
Mervish
Broadway.
Productions. Yeah.
A full-fledged, 1,000% big-time Broadway
Gig the
show
musical.
on a musical show called
Gig the musical.
Yeah. So tell me about it, because I haven't gotten to see it, and I'm very sad about it.
Yeah, I'm actually supposed to be there as we speak.
I know, exactly.
And we're recording this a day early because there's actually a cast party tomorrow night after their closing show.
Right.
And so in order to be there, we are recording today instead of tomorrow.
That's right.
But
you're welcome, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But part of my heart is, kind of heavy that I'm missing the Saturday night, which is, a really big night.
Supposed to be the biggest night, really, right. True.
But I went opening night.
Exactly.
She told me about it from day one.
Yeah.
The concept seemed like really cool because it's giving you a behind the scenes look at what it is to make a career in music. So,
specifically a recording career. The main character is trying to.
Yeah, the main character. It's an
ensemble. What's the quick synopsis?
Yeah, it's an ensemble. It revolves around a rock star, a diva, an emerging artist, the groupie, and 2 agents.
Okay.
And you get
that's right away. Already, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like I'm so there.
You get some nice insight and perspective to what the journey is like for those people at different stages of their career.
You're speaking
and the whole
language.
Thing is kind of told to you through the narrator, who happens to be the rapper, the MC.
Oh, wow.
So it's so fun.
Yo, that sounds so fresh.
And it's very engaging audience interaction. They break the fourth wall so the audience can participate.
What?
And it's just a whole lot of fun, man. I wish everybody could experience it, and I anticipate that after this run, I'm sure it will come back again. But this is the first time it's ever been performed for a live audience. So my wife Nicole is one of the leads. She plays the diva, and
she's playing the diva. You didn't tell me. Oh yeah.
Look, don't try and throw me under the bus.
No, I mean, I know she's in it, but I don't know any details about the show up until right now. This is the first time I'm really getting the detail synopsis,
just for the record,
and
for those of you
different
who are
roles and whatnot.
Who are close with Nicole and hearing this from Shel Rock, I told him several times.
Oh my gosh.
So it's not my fault that he didn't understand.
That I didn't pay attention.
Or pay attention.
Okay. Well,
but yeah, it's a really, really fun musical to be a part of in the audience, and I hope that as it comes back that you'll be able to get the chance to experience
real
it.
Talks. I'm actually tempted to call in sick tomorrow just so I can go watch it again.
Now that you put it on record.
Yo, it's okay. I don't care. Yo, that sucks, man. I'm so not. Yes. My inspiration is somewhat turned to being bummed right now because I know I can't see it.
Oh man, it's unfortunate. That's all I can really say. It's unfortunate for you, but
you want to work for me tomorrow?
No, man. I'm gonna be at the show.
You've already seen it. You can go to the cast party after.
I wish I could see it again and again. It's really, really lots of fun.
Yo, I'm kind of vexed now and upset that I can't see it and that you're getting to see it multiple times. True, it's your wife still, but I mean, come on, it's my sister-in-law.
Yeah, she's killing the role, man. Like, she's doing it up.
So she's one of the main characters, and she's
right.
Well, okay, since I'm not going to be able to partake of that joyous event.
Yeah, and it is very inspiring too, by the way, because just to see her in this stage, really, it's her coming out in a ways back as a solo performer, because she is singing backup for a lot of artists right now, out of town gigs, and this is her sort of break back into the focus or the spotlight on her. So even though it's an ensemble cast, she is playing a lead role, and it's really inspiring to see her do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. For me, that's what's inspiring me. the most right now in the recent days or weeks, because
really,
the fact that, I mean, I know obviously that she sings, that she's been doing this backup on a lot of your music in the last X amount of years.
Yes, true.
And most recently, the one that you did for the charity Stand Up was like, or Rise Up, whatever. That one is like, she did a hot job on that.
Yes,
well, both
true.
of you did. But I've been trying to get her to step up again to the center stage and work on her own material for, like, we always joke around with each other every time we see each other, right?
Yeah, because she wants you to get back on the
I know.
mic.
I know. So the fact that she's actually doing this, like a musical, and being on stage and doing, like, it's inspiring to me, man. Like, I'm like, yeah, wicked, do your thing.
Yeah, man, it's definitely motivating and inspiring. Yeah, and what's actually really cool about this musical also is that they've given it room for context of the location. So it's in Toronto, and they have room for it to be to have references to the actual city of Toronto, and a lot of the artists and performers in the musical actually have some history within the Toronto music scene.
Yeah.
So it's really, really cool.
I really hope it does amazing, and that it gets, picked up or traveled around to go again in Toronto and more, even just internationally.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, not to cut you off too quickly, but along the same lines, there's this other musical that's been making a lot of noise.
Is this something that's been inspiring you?
Yes, indirectly.
Okay.
So I guess the theme of musicals in general has been coming up lately for me in the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
I was listening, I listen to podcasts like crazy, all different kinds of podcasts.
Right.
And I was listening to, which podcast was it I was listening to? One of my many podcasts, but they had an interview with this guy from the musical Hamilton, which is that hip hop musical.
Right.
Are you familiar?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen anything.
Yes.
Real quick though, I have to give you this one shout out because people in the audience won't know this.
Okay.
But Nicole has actually been fighting this crazy flu and consistent cough for the past few weeks.
Okay.
So when I went on opening night, she was still like fighting that cough.
Well, I remember you told me that. Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the audience with another friend of ours, and we're kind of on the edge of our seat thinking, is she going to start coughing through the song?
Yeah.
And she held it down. Like she just put out these smooth vocals, belting out these, long tones.
Yeah.
And she was just on point.
Wow.
And we were like, wow, this is serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one else in the audience would
even know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see what happens behind the scenes. You people don't even know, what the performers are going through. And, that's definitely inspiring. It reminds me of going back to, not specifically Hamilton. That's one of the things, like the guy from Hamilton was interviewed on this other podcast I was listening to. But then there's another podcast, what's her name? Criminal Minds Girl.
I don't watch that show, so I'm not
Aisha Tyler.
Okay.
Aisha Taylor, whatever.
Right.
Her podcast, when she's interviewing Taye Diggs.
Okay.
Who apparently has been doing musicals as well too.
Right. I heard about that.
You heard about that?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I just happened to see on her episode she was interviewing Taye Diggs, so I said, okay, I want to know what's up with him. I had no idea he was doing musicals.
Oh, yeah.
At all. So, and it's funny, when I go on his Wikipedia page here, the first thing it says is he's perhaps best known for his roles in the Broadway musicals Rent and Hedwig.
Yeah.
Right? And they were specifically talking about Hedwig in the interview with on Aisha Taylor's show. It's called Guy on Girl is the name of her podcast.
Right.
But in terms of what's inspiring me and the fact like this whole musical thing keeps coming back, he was talking about the fact that when he did his role in Hedwig, that for him it was something that scared him when it was offered to him. The idea of doing it was like, right? And the message that he was getting across in the interview was that sometimes as artists, the thing that scares us the most is the thing that we should go towards doing.
Wow.
You know?
That's a good setup for later, but
yeah, exactly. You know, like he did the role, and now he's like mostly known for that. And like, to me,
interesting, because I haven't heard much about this other musical. Rent, I know for sure.
Yes,
because he was in the movie as well, right? And that's like one of the biggest well-known musicals.
Wait, he was in the movie?
Rent the movie.
Yeah, he was in the movie Rent the movie.
What? You always like
Guy, I don't know that, yo.
Yes, there is a movie.
No, I
Rent,
know there's a movie, but I'm saying he's in it.
Yes.
What the heck, man? Like, I feel like I've been living under a rock.
I think you have.
Well, it's just, I guess we're in. See, we all have our different worlds that we're in tune into.
Well,
in the arts and entertainment industry, you know.
Truth be told, I would never have known that if I wasn't married to Nicole, because she.
Okay,
she
so
loves
there
musicals.
you go. There you go.
And funny enough, when you watch Gig the musical, it actually does remind you a bit of the tone and the vibe of Rent. Okay. It has some similar kinds of feels going on in it.
Right.
So if anybody is a fan of that of Rent as a musical, they'll also love Gig the musical. But I'm not plugging. It's just it's just what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's in context of the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and in continuing in context, Taye Diggs, however you pronounce his name, being in musicals.
You can't pronounce nothing today.
Yo, man, I mash up every name that comes. Taye Diggs. Okay, Taye Diggs. How Stella got her groove back. Mr. Private Practice. The Best Man.
Right.
Those are the things I know him for.
Right. Yes.
Right. So the fact that he's, being interviewed, and the bulk of the interview was about his experience in theater, live theater, on stage, and in particular this musical.
Right.
For me, it was inspiring, and it came at the time, like 3-4 weeks ago when I first heard the interview.
Okay.
There was nothing in it that was direct related to me.
Okay.
But the thing about, going towards the thing that scares you, that it came back to me about 3 weeks later.
All right.
As I came across a opportunity creatively that came across my desk.
Right.
That I had to, pick your ear about and get your advice.
Right. Interested to hear about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the feature conversation. But in a nutshell, is that when I was scared about this opportunity, I was definitely scared, and as immediately as I thought that, the whole interview and Taye Diggs' comment just started echoing in my mind, like, you got to go towards what's scares you, and that kind of helped me make the decision.
Yeah, I could feel that. It's interesting because you talk about Taye Diggs being known for his role in the musical.
Yes.
Right? And for you don't know him for that.
That's correct.
I have a sort of a parallel. I had a conversation recently with someone about me getting into poetry. Okay. Because I started as a music artist. And there was a season in my life where poetry started becoming more main stage.
Yes.
For me as a creative output.
Yeah.
And I was telling him that I never actually wanted to be known I never really wanted to be a poet.
Right.
I definitely didn't want to be known as a poet.
Correct.
And somehow the response was just coming from that.
Right. Yeah.
To the point now where there are people who call me to do poetry or spoken word events, and they have no idea that I'm a musical artist.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's crazy hearing that. Yeah. Yo, that's crazy.
It's interesting.
That kind of ties back to our feature conversation that we're going to get into later about identity as an artist and shaping that identity and curating your identity out there and what you want to be known as. That's part of the reason why I've shifted focus this year to be focusing strictly on my writing and the stuff that I'm doing. But we'll get into that in the feature conversation.
Okay.
I'm
curious if there's anything that you have been feeling that you could tell me to check out or anything like that?
Well, there's definitely something I could tell you that I'm feeling that for you to check out. But that thing that I'm feeling this week happens to be something that I'm going to be talking about in the Suit Up section. Okay. And it's very directly related to, so it's not just something I'm feeling, but it's also something I'm feeling that's definitely a Suit Up item.
Okay.
Specifically for you our listening audience, but it's also very specific for you too. So I figure I'll just save it for our Suit Up section.
All right.
And we can probably just...
Well, we've done this
get into that right
pretty
now.
Long.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
it's a perfect segue, perfect timing. Let's, for those of you who don't know, we are going to get into our Suit Up section, which is the time and place in the Live and Rock show where we give you guys tips and tools or motivational things that you can use to help you in your journey and your quest to be the best at whatever creative thing that you do. So, without further ado, this section is brought to you by
ShifterMagazine.com, your online destination for articles, tips, and how-tos for creators and influencers of all types.
That's right. So, without further ado, let's suit up.
Suit up! Suit up! Suit up! You suited up! Snow suit up! Flight suit up! Penguin suited up! Suit up! You suited up! Birthday suited up! Slut up! Suit up! Suit up! Suited up! Suit up! Suit up! Space suit up! Suit up!
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, is your mic on, Mr. CDH?
Of course, as always.
Good to go.
Always
good to go.
Live.
So we are in the Suit Up section, and today I know CDH, you have something of value to share with us. But since you already put me on deck, let me start.
Go ahead.
So today, what I wanted to share with you guys in the Suit Up is a podcast. Again, I know we tend to be heavy on podcasts, recommending podcasts here.
Yes.
But this one has I think is a particularly a very potent message this time, because it's usually when I recommend podcasts, it's 99% of the time from the perspective of I need you guys, or I recommend it for you guys to listen to get motivation and inspiration by the kind of insight and guests that they may have or what they're talking about, like what I just mentioned with Taye Diggs. But this time, it's specifically a podcast for you to actually get practical, actual,
all right, so
factual.
Let's get to it.
So the podcasts I want to recommend, two of them. One of them is called The School of Podcasting.
Okay, School of Podcasting.
School of Podcasting, and I discovered this on Spreaker, but I'm pretty sure they're on iTunes as well.
Okay.
It's by the founder, Dave Jackson, is a leading expert on podcasting. And his snarky attitude and entertaining delivery has led Dave to building a large and loyal following. I'm reading off the description here.
Right.
It started in 2005, and essentially he helps you massage your message, tackle the technology, and flatten the learning curve of podcasting.
Okay.
Now, this is a particularly poignant discovery for me, and I want to share with you because it also is a direct result of our podcast.
Okay. So
and you, Mr. CDH Live, on our last couple of episodes in our Suit Up section, have been hammering home the message of becoming a student of your craft.
Right.
And going out there and looking for resources and educating yourself.
Right.
By whatever means, Google, YouTube,
right,
podcasts, listen, Linda, whatever. Just particularly, you said that in our last episode, just educating yourself. So I said, you know what? I need to take it to heart.
All right.
And we have been doing podcasting now for almost a year. And yes, we do listen to other podcasts for the sake of inspiration, but maybe I need to take it a step further and just go like directly to the heart of the matter and literally listen to, get help from other people about specifically podcasting. So thus me discovering the School of Podcasting podcast, and I could very frank. It's very helpful, and I recommend it to you as my partner in this podcasting endeavor, that you should definitely listen to it.
Okay, School of Podcasting.
Yes.
I got it on the list.
It's for you and anyone out there who is willing or looking to do the same thing. And I have another one, but we're going to let you do yours first, and we'll come back to my last one to wrap up.
Okay, so when it comes to suiting up, one of the things that we rarely think about is courage. Mm-hmm. You know, when you put on all your armor, or you get all your tools, if you will, you've dressed up and you're ready to go out. Mm-hmm. The one thing that you always need is courage. I'll give you a quote, and there's a bunch of them, but here's one quote I heard is, "Great art requires courage." Mm-hmm. So regardless of what it is you're creating, whether it's music, you're writing, you're designing, it always requires courage. And there's a whole bunch of quotes on courage. I want to list just or speak a few of them.
Okay.
It takes courage to show up and become who you really are.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah. Sometimes just the showing up part.
Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts.
Wow.
And here's another one. Courage is simply the willingness to be afraid and act anyway.
Those are all very poignant.
And I'll leave you with one last one.
Yes.
Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, "I will try again tomorrow."
You have no idea how poignant that is for me right now in our endeavor, Live and Rock.
Yeah.
Because you know offline that I've been struggling for the last 2 months, maybe more, with this whole Live and Rock show. Not any kind of like not wanting to do it, but just in my opinion, we've had a long string of failures. I've had a long string of failures on the audio department of the show. I feel like it's been very bad for the entire year, from January right to now, every episode. So that's partly why we don't even have any music going on in the background right now. But
yeah, I held back from commenting on that.
I know. But that's what the show is about. They gotta hear the behind. They gotta get the nitty gritty, the insight.
Because you might end up putting some in the post production.
That is true. I may end up doing that. But all that to say is that, you know, those string of failures would make it very easy for me to feel like I just don't even want to show up. I don't even want to do it this week again.
Right.
But that quote is just like, just sometimes that's all it is, just showing up. That voice at the end of the day that says, you know what, I'll just try again tomorrow. No matter how much times you failed, just having the courage to say it, we'll try again tomorrow is that's where I'm at. I like that. I love that. And but in helping you overcome those failures, or not overcome, in preventing them in the first place, it goes back to what you said, equipping yourself and doing stuff like teaching yourself and researching.
Right.
So along that lines, you know, I've started my next endeavor of a blog.
Right.
Which I started probably about just over a month ago now.
Right.
So along that lines of equipping myself to a specific craft, I was seeking out any help on blogging, and I found a blog or a podcast called I Teach Blogging, which is the second podcast I want to recommend.
Okay.
So this is going to be similar to the School of Podcasting in terms of the type of content.
Okay.
It's specifically about blogging. She's found on Spreaker. Her name is the blog is called I Teach Blogging. And I may have just mentioned this on the last episode. I can't even remember. But the reason why I'm bringing it up again is because it's specific to my endeavor. Yes, I want to learn how to do blogging correctly. I'm just starting out.
Okay.
I'm sure some of our listeners out there may fall in that category, that are interested in doing their own podcast, or interested in doing a blog, or interested in doing a video YouTube thing,
right?
Or any combination of the three, or other thing, or anything we haven't thought of inside that vein of creative expression. I know there's a lot of people who are into that stuff in this day and age. So
how have you found this blog so far? I Teach Blogging. Sorry, this podcast.
Incredible. Like, she helped me. She helped validate some of the steps that I took to start with my blog. So she talked about, doing your best to, when you're starting out the blog, to try and backlog at least a certain amount of episodes before you even post.
Right.
I start posting is one example. A safety net. Yes. Right. She talked about, trying to make sure you have at least around 10 blog posts ready to go before you even start.
Right.
And mind you, I started my blog before I started my research. So before I started listening to this podcast.
Right.
So some of the things she talked about, I had already jumped ahead, and I was already, down that path.
Right.
But it's never too late. And just the fact that some of the things she said, I was able to validate that I took the right process.
Right.
Other things I missed and messed up, but I can go back and, fill in the gaps and try to, and then there's lots of other things she talked about, that are part of the reason why I'm recommending it, is because she's heavy on typing blogs, people who are doing, typing blogs, but she does talk about a lot of things that overlap into YouTube blogging and video blogging and podcasts. So that's why I recommend it to anyone who's interested in any type of reoccurring, episodic, weekly, monthly, whatever type of thing.
Consistent content.
Yes.
Creation.
Listen to I Teach Blogging and or the School of Podcasting. They're both great tools for you in that regard.
Beautiful.
And I think that's about it. And I'm talking to you, CDH Live.
That's good. That's a good suit up. Definitely, I'm going to check out both of them. I Teach Blogging and School of Podcasting, because I have blogged, and I have not utilized my blogging in the most efficient or effective way.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good one for me to check out. And definitely School of Podcasting. It'll give me some fuel for our weekly debates on this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. So speaking of weekly debates, which is what we usually get into in our next section, our feature conversation.
Yeah.
And it sounds pretty straightforward, developing discipline, and you'd think there's nothing to debate about that, but lo and behold, as usual, you and I have some conflicting ideas on that. So we probably will have a little bit of a debate as we get into our feature conversation about, developing discipline in your craft.
And where is Live and Rock on that journey?
And that journey, exactly. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in so far, but we're about to give you the meat of this healthy meal called Live and Rock on episode 21. As we get into our feature conversation, developing discipline.
Here we go. Developing Discipline, our feature conversation for episode 21, Shel Rock. Shel Rock.
Yes, sir.
What inspired this topic for you, developing discipline? Let's get into this.
Ironically, what inspired this topic is the fact of me exercising a lack of discipline, an extreme lack of discipline in the last week and a half.
Right.
You know what? I shouldn't say that, because I shouldn't be so hard on myself. It really isn't that extreme.
I know it's
but
not.
when you're in the moment and you have a passion and you're motivated and you want to see that thing succeed, you have a creative baby.
Yes.
Any little failure or any little divergence from you doing something wrong, any little thing that you do wrong, you really take it to heart, and the impact feels so huge.
So if you will, for us, define what you mean by discipline as a creator, because I noticed that you're working on this blog, which you talked about on the last episode.
Yes,
I've seen the posts come out regularly.
Yes,
and so I'm wondering what are you talking about in terms of discipline?
So, two sides to that coin. The main meaty side is the day to day. So we talk about in blogging, whether it's podcasts, audio, YouTube, or in this case, writing articles.
Okay.
You have a sense, an idea of frequency that you want to put out your content.
Okay.
In our case of Live and Rock, we have a schedule. In my blog, I was aiming to have a certain number per week.
Okay.
I'll just put it out there. I was aiming to have a minimum of 3 posts per week.
Okay.
That's my ideal. That's my ideal.
Okay.
To say for me to feel like I have a chance of making it, because as you know, you don't show up on people's radar until X amount of times I'm seeing you, and you got to have consistency, and you just got to, so in my pie in the sky, dreaming up the idea, okay, I'm going to start being a blogger. I thought if I'm going to do it, I want to do it seriously. And if I'm going to take it seriously, really, I have to be doing it at least 3 times a week.
Okay.
For people to, really take it seriously.
Okay.
So that requires discipline. It requires structure. It requires discipline in my day-to-day scheduling of my time and my days off. So that's what I'm talking about. Just maintaining that day-to-day, saying, okay, every week I have to do X amount of content. In order to get that done, I have to spend X amount of time. These are the days I have. These are the days time off I have. How do I, allocate my time? Make sure I protect that time when people approach me. Hey, what are you doing on X day? We're going where we have this event or that event, or you just want to go shoot the breeze or go for drinks. I have to know I got to protect that time, because it's not my paying job. So there's no boss that's going to tell me, well, hey, you can have the day off, or no, you can't have the day off. You need to be here to do the blog. And I am the boss and the creator, right?
Yes, indeed. So I like that as a framing. And you and I had an offline conversation, because when you told me this topic, I said it sounds like, something along the lines of motivational milestones. And you came back and said, well, that's maybe a tool you could use to help you stay disciplined.
Yes.
And I want to explore that a little bit, because the description you gave as to, you want to be taken seriously, you want to feel like you're accomplishing something, and, hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
These are things that I have wrestled with and been beaten to death by over the past year.
Okay.
And here's something that is resonating with me right now is, you've heard this probably before, discovering your why.
Yes, I've heard that very recently, but go in depth for me. Break it down again.
So discovering your why is all about why you are doing whatever it is you're doing.
Yes.
So in this case, you're talking about doing this blog.
Yes.
Writing consistently and hopefully putting out 3 per week is your goal.
Yes.
So why is it that you want to put out 3 per week? Because if the reason you're doing it is just to say that you've put out 3 per week, it's probably not a strong enough why. And it's probably demotivating, which leads to procrastination and feeling frustrated and feeling like a failure if you don't do it.
Yes.
Whereas my new sort of mindset is looking at motivational milestones.
Okay.
So rather than three per week as a requirement that I have to meet, I think of it as a milestone to celebrate. So I'm motivated to say, oh yeah, I want to get this done.
Yes.
And even deeper than that is why I'm getting it
done. Right.
It's not necessarily, yes, I want to be taken seriously.
Yes.
But it's more for that self-fulfillment.
Right.
And so when you can sort of separate a little bit from what people are how people are going to respond.
Yes.
You start thinking more about how you're growing and how you're experiencing the journey, and you can look at your own output and be like, oh yeah, I'm actually getting better at this.
Right.
And I'm doing this regularly because it's what I like to do.
Right.
What I want to do.
Right.
Not because I have to do it to make it somewhere, but because this is what I want to do with my energy and my creative powers.
I like that, and I agree with that to a certain point. But I think this is where we start to have the debate.
Okay.
And difference of opinion here, because while the motivational milestones, I like them, and I have things that I want to aspire to accomplish with the blog. By the way, the blog is called Space Love Superheroes.
Yes.
Just so you guys know.
Right. And how many have you put out so far, by the way?
I've put out quite a bit. I think the last time I checked, I put out about 14. I've had roughly 14 posts.
In how many weeks?
Since I started sometime in February. So let's just call it a month. Let's call 4 weeks.
So 14 in 4 weeks.
Yes.
You're pretty close to 3 a week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's part of the thing. Yeah, I have to step back, and like I said, it's probably not as extreme as I was trying to make it seem.
Okay.
But because I have this goal in mind,
right?
When I fall short of it, it feels hard. And you know what? Okay, let me give you another background or another side of the coin. It's not even so much. So you're talking about using motivational milestones, and the part of the reason why my initial reaction is to disagree is because I feel like this week in particular, when I didn't produce content, it had nothing to do with being a lack of motivation.
Okay.
In fact, it was my deep motivation that led to me not producing content.
How is that possible?
All right, thank you.
Explain.
I love when you.
I know that was a setup. Just go ahead. How did your motivation distract you from?
It didn't distract me. It discouraged me. So I'm gonna break it down for you. So my podcast, my blog is called Space Love Superheroes. I write about my passion for all things sci-fi, fantasy, and superheroes from a personal perspective.
Okay.
But I also talk about it from, like what's going on out there. So not just my stories that I write and my journey of trying to become a career professional, but the movies, the superhero movies, sci-fi movies, TV shows, and stuff that are out there. So I was cruising along since I started the blog, the first 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks, and I, was pretty much posting all the time. Then last week, or somewhere around there, I had it in my mind. I got set in my mind a specific topic that I wanted to write about for my next post. And it was a topic that was about geek love, about finding, nerds finding someone who understands them. And there's this show I discovered online called Geek Love, nerds finding love at Comic Cons, etc. So my heart was set on writing. I'm like, yeah, this is right up my alley. This is what Space Love Superheroes, the blog, is about.
Right.
On top of that, So then the day I was supposed to write and post, I did go to write. However, for some reason, because I was so focused that I want to do a good job on this particular piece, it was just not coming. It was a fight the entire day. Usually it takes me like 2 hours, whatever. It was just all day. I couldn't get, no matter what I wrote, it just didn't seem good enough.
Okay.
So long story short, I wasted the entire day. I wrote something, but it wasn't good enough, so I never posted it.
Okay.
And that was a direct result of me being so motivated to do such a good job about this thing that it made me do a bad job, and it just made me feel like a deer in headlights. I was just too sick,
Paralysis.
Yeah.
I call it perfectionist
paralysis. Yes. But to add insult to injury, not only did I not post it, when I was done and I don't know how it happened exactly, the sequence of events, but I ended up being on YouTube at some point the very same day, only to discover the brand new trailer for Captain America Civil War 3 got released. So the whole nerdverse and everyone out there is now responding, reacting, posting their YouTube reactions, doing their blog posts about Captain America Civil War. And this is something that I'm passionate about, and I too have I have a response I want to give and whatnot.
Right, of course.
But because at the time when I noticed it, it was the middle of the night. Actually, no, this is exactly what happened. It was the middle of the night, and I saw a brief image of Spider-Man with the Captain America, but I thought it was just a fan thing. I didn't know it was the actual trailer. So the next day, not only did I not post my blog post, but the next day I got up to greet the world and found out that it was actually the trailer, and a million people have posted this, that, and the other, and I got to write something about it. But I was feeling so down about the fact that I didn't do my other post that I just didn't want to write. And then at the same time, I'm like, I gotta get on this because this is like, I gotta be up to the times. I gotta be, if I want people around. So long story short, I just got upset the fact that I'm late to the party. Everyone else is putting their stuff already, and I'm late to the party. Plus, I missed my regular post, and it just started a snowball effect that led to me just being demotivated and depressed. And long story short, the entire week passed. 10 days later, I didn't write or post anything. Okay. Sorry. That was a very long story.
Good to hear your passion coming back. Yeah. That's something that we all face, man.
Okay.
We definitely all face that kind of discouragement because of not being able to meet the mark.
Yes.
Or be timely with our output.
Yes.
So the first thing I have to say is number one, your discipline is already on point because you're at least doing 2 per week. So you're starting from 0 up to 2 per week.
Yeah.
It's like you went from 0 to 60 in 1 second.
Okay.
So getting to 3 to week, that's actually a lot for somebody who is not doing this full time. Right? But the other thing is, in terms of discipline, looking at it from the outside, what I can say is your desire to do something very specific is definitely going to be demotivating in the moment. You're not able to kind of let go.
Push it, and and that's the heart of the discussion that I'm questioning. Like in the reality of it, in technical terms, me waking up the next day and seeing everybody putting out their reaction, I could have easily went home the very same day and did my post, my reaction to and posted it. But I allowed myself to be demotivated because I'm quote unquote late to the party. So I'm like, how do you deal with that discipline to push through and just do, even with the post that wasn't up to par the day before, just post it anyways, or you know what I mean?
Now, I'm gonna speak for a moment.
Yes.
As the outside expert.
Okay.
Right? Because I have my own lessons.
Hold on. Wow. Hold on. What? Don't tell me all this time. Hello?
What's the problem? What is it?
Your mic was off.
What do you mean my mic was off?
Your mic was off.
So how come I can hear myself and it's still recording?
So, listeners, in your setup, there's a mute button where we can hear ourselves and the listeners can't hear us. So the good news is I was doing most of the talking for that last stretch.
Well, I mean, since the feature conversation started 30 minutes ago?
No, 15 minutes ago. This is counting backwards.
Okay.
So So, for the benefit, we're not going to go all the way back, but we're just for the benefit. Can we just go back just to your initial response to me not being demotivated and how you said to deal with that?
Okay, so there's two basic types of discipline required here.
Yes.
One is the sort of internal artist discipline.
Yes.
For the sake of improving as an artist and growing as a creator.
Yes.
And developing yourself.
Yes.
Then there's the other flip side, which is taking on the other side of your brain and disciplining the artist.
Yes.
As a third party.
Yes. Yeah.
Basically giving the artist a deadline.
Yes.
As if you're the boss and you're giving the artist a deadline and saying, I don't care what you think about the quality.
Yeah.
You need to get this done by this time, period.
Yeah.
So there's those two types. And for me personally, I think you need both, but I find for me personally that what seems to work best is if it's me doing the deadline setting, that doesn't work as well as an outside deadline.
Okay.
So I find that if I work from an internal motivational milestone, that is more effective when I have no one else to answer to.
Okay. So because we know that the mic was not recording, that's a perfect, go back to that again. Perfect segue. You started the feature conversation responding with your side of it about the motivational milestones. That's the part that did not get recorded. So recap that for me. You say that works best for you. Refresh my memory. How does that work for you? What does the motivational milestone look like?
So motivational milestones is a thought or a mindset that everything you're doing is in some way for your own benefit, as in what's in it for me.
Right.
So we all as creators want to get the audience response, the positive feedback.
Yes.
Right. But the road to that is really in self-development, in becoming masters of our own craft.
Right.
And as you do that, you begin to appreciate you become a fan of your own work.
Okay.
Right. So for me, motivational milestones are things like, saying, okay, I wrote, even though I wasn't in the mood, I still wrote something.
Right.
Motivational milestone is something like, I want to get a song done by this time, even if it's not good.
Okay.
Just to say that I got this done and I can look at it as a completed thing that I can learn from and analyze and use to grow some more.
Right.
Motivational milestone is one small technique that I've added to my arsenal, that I now know how to use this technique. Even though the overall project or piece didn't work well, I learned
some
technique.
aspect of it. Yeah.
Motivational milestones is actually doing what you said you were going to do. I was going to put a blog post up, and I actually did.
Just the fact that you did it.
Just the fact that I did it.
Right.
And I know that it's horrible. And I should mention, I am actually learning a lot of this through our guests on Live and Rock, but also from my new series, Conversations with
Thank you, because that's what I was just about to segue to.
Yeah, I had an amazing conversation with one of our past guests, Vincent Galvez.
Yes.
And I asked him a similar question to what you're asking me.
Okay.
And as he was responding, he gave some answers that are along these lines. And at the time, I was just like, that just seems like, so easy. Like, you could, you just say something positive. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it, whatever.
Right.
But as I walked away from that conversation and I let it resonate, and I started applying it to some of the things I'm working on, I realized that it actually frees me up to do better work, because I'm not stifled by this unidentified perfection that I'm reaching for. It's just a matter of going through the process and enjoying the process of creating and doing.
It's almost like the short-term goal is just the doing it, the process of doing it. And really the day-to-day goal is just being able to say, yes, I did something in regards to this project or creative endeavor that have a long-term dream of accomplishment.
Right.
But the thing go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The ironic thing though for me though is that hearing you say that is like, it's almost like we've switched shoes.
Okay.
Because throughout my whole creative career, from music to the books I wrote and now and everything, I've always maintained a perspective of I can't approach things from a structured perspective. I can't do things in a, scheduled type of mindset. I have to just do things as the spirit leads, as I get a vibe, right?
Yeah.
That's always been my approach.
Right.
Up until the last year and a half or so, and I've been slowly being brought over to the other side. And now you are telling me at the flip side that, how do you maintain, you focus on the motivational milestones and don't worry too much about those disciplined goals. And I'm like, that's the exact opposite of what you've been. Like, you've been Mr. Structure from day one. It's all about, like, regardless of what it is,
right?
It's all about, okay, I have to get X amount of stuff done, and these are the stuff I have to get done this week. And you're always looking up all these apps for we call it task managing and all that, and you're always talking to me about
which I even have
implementing
one
them into
to talk about today. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's ironic that you're telling me the way for me to deal with my discipline in my craft is almost to do the opposite.
Well, here's why I can now say that.
Okay.
And I still use the tools, and in fact, I have just this week put all my projects into my project management app.
Yes.
And I'm refining what's needed for each project and so on.
Yeah.
But that is a different process. It's a different activity.
Okay.
It's the organizing and planning activity.
Right.
The creativity part of it is when I have to let that go and not worry about the deadlines and just actually do the creative work. So here's another thing that I do a lot. I listen to a lot of artist interviews and conversations with other creators.
Yes.
From A-list to D-list.
Okay.
And what I find is sort of a common thread is that the things that we remember as significant from output from an artist is the 10% above the water for the iceberg. It's like the tip of the iceberg, as they say.
Wow.
So they're working on all these things all the time that many of them don't see the light of the day. Many of them come out and they're flops.
Yeah.
But because they're always doing something, eventually, as the saying goes, the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
And we see those things. A great example I heard just recently, and I'm not a big fan, but you've heard the name Frank Zappa?
Not 1,000% sure.
Okay, well, Frank Zappa was an artist from like the 60s.
Okay.
Very well-known rock musician.
Okay.
I found out recently that he, throughout his career, created over 80 albums.
Wow.
And you know how many... I actually can't name a song he's known for.
Okay.
But generally, people who know of him might know him for one or two albums.
Okay. And he has like over 80.
Exactly. Another great example, James Brown, who they call the hardest working man in show business.
Yes.
Do you know how many albums James Brown has actually released versus how many songs he's known for?
No.
I don't know the exact numbers, but if you look up James Brown discography, it's just tons and tons. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you have to put out that much.
Right.
But there's something about constantly just doing it.
Yes.
That hones your craft. Right? As a performer, they say there's nothing better for a performer than just being on stage in front of people.
But this is where I want to challenge you.
Okay.
Because even though you're saying the motivational milestones is a tool to help you stay disciplined, at the same time you're kind of saying not to worry about the volume of output on a set schedule or a set number amount per whatever. And I feel like there's a necessity for a little bit of that in your process. So even for you to get specific, for create conversations with Craig,
right,
as a venture,
right.
I feel like for you to see success in it, you need to put a little bit of pressure on yourself to have some kind of set frequency goal, and or even just a start date to even for example of when you want to see it begin.
Right, we've talked about that already.
Yeah,
and we already do have a start date in mind.
Yes.
So,
but even with the start date, like that's just step one. But I feel like the way you've been putting it to me when we've been talking offline is like I get where you're coming from. You want to be like more. You just want to do it. You don't want to put no ideas in your head about, okay, this is how often it's going to be, how many guests, or like, right. You kind of just want to just do it and let it take its own time. And when it happens, it happens.
But that's the thing about, go ahead.
And I feel like you need somebody to push you to want to do it more aggressively.
Here's the thing about this.
Okay.
This style, this approach that I absolutely love is that no, I don't need anybody to push me, because in this case, it is what I want to do.
Right.
So it's like if you love ice cream.
Yes.
Do you need somebody to push you to eat ice cream?
No,
No, because you love it. You're going to find ice cream and you're going to eat it because you love it. And
yes.
that is the what's going on here with the conversations with Craig, is that I actually want to do this. And not only do I want to do it, but I'm now, motivated that I can do it.
Right.
And I have all the tools necessary to do it. And in every moment and every chance that I have to work on it,
yes,
I am going to work on it. So I have that motivation, and the milestone of getting one done is what I'm getting. The first one done is what's pushing me to work on it consistently. So it's not the purpose of it. The why is not for some kind of commercial recognition.
Right.
So bringing it back to what we started about earlier about, discovering your why.
Yes.
I have a lot of projects.
Yes.
I have a production company that the purpose of that production company as a business is to make money.
Yes.
I want to help people through it.
Yes.
But as a business, the purpose is to make money.
Yes.
Conversations with Craig, and as an artist, my purpose is to reach people through the music.
Right.
Right. Conversations with Craig is sort of like a low pressure thing that I can do at my own pace, take my own time with zero pressure, and just enjoy the process of doing it and creating something different that I haven't done before. And having these people along the ride to go with me, discovering as I'm going.
Yeah.
And so it's just an energizing thing to be working on, that there's zero reason for any pressure to be applied.
Essentially, what I'm hearing you say, it sounds like it's like it is your personal side project.
In a sense.
That's what it's kind of sounding like. Like, it's not something that you want to put in priority over any of the other stuff that you have going.
I have enough going.
I know, but I guess maybe that's kind of why I've been trying to I've been looking at it differently and feeling like you need to put a little bit of structure to it.
Why?
Because I was looking at it more as a main project for you, that you're looking at it.
Why?
In terms of all the things that you do, that you were kind of feeling like this is the main thing you want to do now, at least focus on for the next little while. So that's why I was saying and getting that inclination to kind of encourage you to put some kind of
so you're saying,
tension
if I
to
understand
it. But
correctly,
if it's
you're saying that you think that I'm saying it's going to be my main thing, or you feel like it should be my main thing?
Actually, it's both. So I thought you were telling me that it is going to be your main thing. Okay. So music album, CDH live production company, and whatever else you have going on, poetry you might have going on inside, all those things plus this, I thought you were saying this is the thing that's going to be forefront. Kind of like how I'm a writer and I could be doing books, I could be doing this, that, and the other.
Right.
Now I've decided that the blog is the main writing thing I'm doing.
Okay.
I thought that's what you're saying about conversations with Craig.
Okay.
So from that perspective,
okay,
I was saying you need to it's not good enough to just have kind of a laissez-faire, not even laissez-faire, but a kind of a too relaxed
I hear
approach
what you're
to
saying.
it.
Okay, yeah.
But
that's taking it to basically a business.
No, it doesn't have to be a business, because it doesn't have to be a business for it to require priority. Well, because it's about the why, right?
This is where the discipline comes in.
Yeah.
So you decide in the beginning.
Yes.
This is my perspective.
Yes.
You decide in the beginning, is this for commercial or is this for personal or passion?
But
and it's not to say that one can't be the other or vice versa. You can do something for passion and it becomes commercial, or you can do something commercially with a lot of passion. But the primary purpose or the approach, I think it's important to decide up front which one is going to take precedence.
I think
and that's where the discipline will be applied based on the decision you make. I
think we can continue to discuss it, because we are running out of time. We have less than 10 minutes. So I think we can continue to circle back to this topic in other episodes, but I guess in general would respond to that by saying I don't think that just because you're doing something for passion that it has to be that they're mutually exclusive, that if you're doing it just because of love and passion, that you don't want to do it with discipline.
I didn't say they're mutually exclusive. I said which one is in the driver's seat.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing you say is that if it's not a commercial purpose, then you don't need to have any kind of disciplined approach or structured approach to it.
I didn't say that.
That's what it's sounding like you're saying.
What you're saying,
okay,
just to clarify,
okay,
is that you decide on the outset which one is going to be the driver. So if the project is driven by a commercial outcome, then all the decisions you make in terms of the discipline, the timelines, etc., are based on a commercial result.
But
it doesn't mean that you're not passionate about it.
No.
But it's just how you organize and plan the process.
But that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, you don't have to have a commercial output or goal at the end for it to be something that you want to do in a disciplined manner and have a structure to it.
But who said that I don't have a disciplined manner with this project?
Okay, now you're going back. Okay, again, we're gonna get into the nitty gritty. This is what I want. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm just reflecting what I'm hearing from you so far. From what I've heard from you since you've been talking about it, doesn't seem like you want to have any kind of disciplined structure to it. No, you want to just kind of casually go about it.
No, I didn't. We didn't talk about it because we've already said that I'm looking to get this out in May.
Yes.
I already said I'm looking to do about one per month.
Yes.
I already said that I'm planning to put a few of them in the bank as recorded before I launch in May.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of confused as to why you think there's no
see
structure.
See how I Jedi mind tricked you into
or
putting everything on record?
You just want me to put it out there.
Yep. It's
but
on record.
I already did that.
No, you didn't. Not on the show. Not on Live and Rock.
And just for the record,
yeah.
If it doesn't come out at that time,
yes,
there will be good reason for it. But
if it doesn't come out at that time, the world's not going to end.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. So we're not going to crucify you. I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire if you
but
don't.
The funny thing, here's the funny thing too. Yeah. As much as I am looking forward to that, it's a passion project.
Yes.
That's the driving force behind this.
Yes.
It's a passion project.
What is it? And what is that project again? Just real quick.
Conversations with Craig.
Elevator pitch synopsis. Just for those who are brand new to the show. What will it be about? What is it?
It's Conversations with Craig. It's just in-depth conversations about life as an artist, as a creator.
In what format? And
it's a video series.
Yeah. And are you gonna be? This conversation is going to be you talking to yourself, or talking to me
with creators.
Okay.
Yeah, inspiring individuals and intriguing individuals.
Awesome. And who is this Vincent Galvez that you've already interviewed?
We've had Vincent on the show before. I'm not sure, Live in Rock listeners, why Shel Rock is grilling me on this one, but
we have 5 minutes to go, and I just want to end the show with
he's very focused on this project, and it's actually not a primary focus for me.
Okay.
Which for some reason he feels it should be, but there's actually some other things that are my primary focus that I hope we'll be able to talk about soon.
You don't have to hope. Anything that your primary focus as a project is what we will discuss on every episode. True. That's why we've shifted the focus on Live and Rock.
That's true.
I have been, and I will gladly, willingly confess that I have been misguided and I've been assuming that this was your main thing, and that's why I've been talking about it so much. But if that's not the case, I apologize.
Sorry,
and look forward to the next episode when you do give us more insight into what actually is your primary focus creatively. Because me personally, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your project is. What really matters is that you share it with us on the episode.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
So our listeners, I want to make sure our listeners get the meat of what they're here to hear about, which is what's up with Live. So it's all on you. Next episode, this is your creative challenge. Since we're almost at the end of the show, it's a perfect time to kind of end the conversation. But next episode, your creative challenge, give us the 411 on what we can hear and expect to get updates on in regards to the creative priority of CDH Live. From show to show.
So that'll all be on the next episode?
Correct.
Okay. Great.
We got 5 minutes, really like 4. We got to wrap up this one. But
so what's your final word on developing discipline?
I feel like you did help me in the sense of I can kind of implement motivational milestone, or that mindset of the motivational milestone within my structure, within my daily discipline. Because really, I have been doing good, okay, with, spending time every week writing and whatever. But it's more, I just got to give myself a break.
Yeah.
And not allow, when I fall short, not allow it to completely disable me for a week at a time, which is what happened. I jumped back on the horse yesterday, but it took me a week to get back on. Yeah.
One mindset that I love is just the mindset of this is what I do.
Yeah.
So being an artist, being a creator is a wonderful life.
Yes.
And dealing with disappointment, developing discipline, cultivating your craft.
Yes.
Putting stuff out there that may not get the response you want.
Yeah.
It's all part of what we do. And so when you're in those moments, it's just like, it's not about I did or didn't accomplish what I wanted to on this particular day or this particular project.
Yeah.
This is just what I do. This is my life day to day. I create, I I put my nose to the grindstone.
yeah.
I try and create, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is what I do.
Yeah.
I'm a creator.
I like that. I like that. Well, on that note, we do have to go. I have to take off the creator's hat and put on the producer's hat, and the producer and our app on the computer is saying we gotta go.
Okay.
Whether we like it or not, it's gonna shut off. So in 2 minutes, we gotta say our goodbyes, farewells, and our thank yous.
Right.
And next episode, we don't know what the full episode is gonna be about, but we will continue the in-depth look at what going on with CDH Live, what's going on with Shel Rock.
Yeah,
I want to comment the next episode. I want to talk about I didn't get to talk about that writing opportunity that came to me. That was courtesy of your guest Vincent Galvez that he presented me. So I'll talk about that in the next episode.
All right. So where can they find the latest blog post from
spacelovesuperheroes.wordpress.com? My latest blog post actually was about the reaction to the new X-Men Apocalypse trailer. I just posted that yesterday. And when you guys hear this, that's where you can go.
Beautiful.
Where can they get CDH Live?
As always,
swag.
You can go to
Creative
cdhlive.com. Listen to music from the album and also enter the production company where you can be inspired to get all your marketing materials in order.
Yes, and listen to the album, which also features the wonderful voice of Miss NAH, Nicole, aka CDH Live wife, who is featured on quite a few tracks there. So if you can't get out to gig, which is really, by the time you're hearing this, it's actually done. The musical is done. But at least you can get a taste of her singing and her wonderful voice at cdhlive.com. All right. So on that note,
shout out to Shifter Magazine.
Yes.
Shout out to Milo Flex.
Yes.
Shout out to Stubbs.
Yes. You read my mind. I was just about to say that.
Shout out to Cool Rose.
Shout out to El God. Shout out to J Star. Shout out to, I can't even know who else.
Hit us up or tweet at Live and Rock.
Yes.
And as we always like to say, if you're going to live,
you might as well rock. Yeah.
Boy. Make some noise, rock the world before your time runs out. Let them know what you're about and just make some noise, rock the world no matter what your game. Make sure the whole world remembers your name. Make some noise, rock the world before my time runs out. You know what I'm about, I'ma make some noise.